So the Solent cluster brings together a wide group of stakeholders focused on decarbonising not only the Solent region but reaching further beyond into the UK.
The Solent cluster is incredibly important. The UK has an ambition to reach net zero emissions by 2050. And to do that in the southern part of the UK and in this region, we need the Solent cluster and all of its partners to work together to achieve that.
It brings together industry leaders, global organisations, universities in our area and our local leaders in local government working collaboratively to create a low carbon future for our economy and for our area.
So it's knowing that we've got academics, we've got industries of different sizes and scales, it's bringing the community together, it's bringing policy together, it's bringing the people together that will allow us to springboard on what we've already got and what we already know in terms of, and the efforts made already in decarbonisation to achieve a low carbon future.
I think the Solent cluster has the potential to provide a platform for this area to not only show the work that it's done today in terms of supporting net zero and decarbonisation more widely, but also provide an opportunity for new initiatives to come forward, for new ways of doing things to come forward, for businesses with that spark of innovation, those ideas to actually come together and collaborate.
I think the Solent cluster is going to bring several different elements to the region. Firstly, it's going to be a location where we can produce low carbon energy. We're going to be able to produce low carbon hydrogen, we're going to have carbon capture and storage and create sustainable fuels. But beyond that, it's going to be a great location for growing the businesses that can employ people in the future and could be an innovation centre for low carbon products.
Yeah, so the Solent's a pretty unique region, having supplies to the major airports in London, so Gatwick and Heathrow receive fuel from this area, huge maritime presence in Southampton and Portsmouth. Both of those are hard to decarbonise sectors, and so the Solent cluster has the opportunity to support those sectors for not only this region but further reach into the UK.
The Solent Cluster Initiative is huge for this area. It's an area that's very much in need of levelling up, and I think as we progress on that journey to regenerating the area and giving new opportunities to people in the area and uplifting the whole feel about the area, I think everything has to be done through the lens of decarbonisation. That is the future. It's the opportunity for young people to get into new jobs, new careers, the careers that don't even exist today, with new fuel types that we're just discovering and discovering how we can utilise them in the future.
I think the Solent cluster can really be a power for bringing people together to collaborate. That way they can really help to accelerate the decarbonisation that the region and the country and the world needs to happen.
So from the region and beyond, the difference this cluster can make is, first of all, bringing in a new domestic energy, providing energy security for our region through hydrogen, a new electrification options, but also helping to decarbonise some of our hard to decarbonise sectors, such as transport, through our shipping and our aviation.
So we'd like to see the Solent cluster be one of the key clusters in the United Kingdom. It's uniquely positioned as being the only cluster on the south coast, and we see ExxonMobil's role to support the cluster in delivering the energy transition for the UK.
I think the challenges in terms of working towards net zero is time. And I think that's where the cluster is so important. It brings together the industry leaders, our academic leaders, our local government leaders, working together collaboratively. We can create that momentum that will allow us to bring forward and realise some of the potential and the ambitions of the region much earlier than if we were working individually.
So, I mean, the energy transition it's a big challenge. It needs strong collaboration, much like we have here in the Solent cluster. So it needs a lot of parties coming together to deploy the technologies at scale. And so it takes time, it takes effort, it takes the capital and expertise to make it happen.
It's a massive challenge. Clearly, the whole world needs to move to lower emitting forms of power. Hydrogen is one of those, but it's going to take a lot of investment. It's going to take a lot of collaboration. It's going to take a lot of working with government to actually work out what the regulatory frameworks are, what the legislation, the laws are.
So I personally, as part of the University of Southampton, have been working on this for a number of years, and we started this initiative in bringing research together first about 7 years ago as we formed a university-wide strategic research group, and that brought in industry to fuel our research for the future. But it was very clear that we needed to tackle this from an even wider perspective, bringing in community and policy.
So some of the biggest challenges to achieving net zero is really the amount of effort it's going to take and the time frame we have to achieve that. And so to transition our energy systems to achieve the ambitions we have for net zero emissions, it's going to take a lot of investment, a lot of collaboration, which is what's exciting about the Solent cluster, bringing all these partners together, and a real urgency to achieve that.
Here in the Solent, the maritime sector is fundamental. It's in our DNA. It's vital to us. We have 340 miles of coastline. It drives our economy. We are the most significant maritime cluster in the UK, and we punch our weight globally. As part of the maritime sector, we have to think about new ways of fueling that sector.
So this move is important for ExxonMobil. It's consistent with other projects and initiatives around the world where we're combining with other stakeholders, bringing technology and solutions and really supporting the energy transition.
As operator of the Fawley refinery and chemical plant, we have a really important role in this region. We have an existing operating facility, we have an existing workforce, and we have the ability to put in some of the important processes that we need for these low carbon products of the future.
Well, we're a big emitter of CO2 within the Solent, and I think it's important that we show some leadership, not only to reduce our own emissions, but to help others. So it's really important for a company like ExxonMobil to be taking leadership here and working with others and showing we can collaborate with other companies and other local authorities to help the decarbonisation of the Solent.
I think that if we can educate people, if we can provide opportunities for people to understand how they can work more sustainably, embrace new technologies in a way that doesn't compromise profitability, then I think that's well to the good, really.
So from the university perspective, what I'll be looking at is how we can drive, first of all, research and innovation, because the cluster will build new technologies, not just immediately, but over the next 15, 20 years. And some of these questions we don't have the answers to yet. But there's also that element of education. So how can we reinforce our future workforce and nurture these students coming through? And not just from a university, but from colleges and apprenticeships as well, but co-creating an education that gets them on the ground running as soon as they finish their education.
Yeah, so our focus is really going to be around building low carbon hydrogen facilities, operating and developing offshore carbon capture and storage, and helping to manufacture sustainable fuels for the future that we can work with all our partners in the Solent cluster to help them decarbonise.
So I'm really focused on supporting the team as one of the leaders in low carbon solutions. I see my role to support the local teams, and here we have the ExxonMobil team and as one of the founding members really supporting the Solent cluster.
But we need to have that transition to a different future, a cleaner future, a future that has less carbon being emitted. And I think one of the fantastic things about the formation of the Solent cluster, and with organisations such as ExxonMobil putting their weight behind it, is that we have the opportunity to really sort of accelerate that transition to alternative fuels, and that has to be good for global trade.
This is only the start. There's a lot more hard work to be done, and we have to build that momentum. This is a tremendously exciting opportunity for me as an engineer to work on. Many of us, like myself, have kids, and the opportunity to be able to help secure their future on the planet is huge.
The importance of the cluster cannot be understated. One of our key priorities is pioneering new approaches to climate change adaptation, and also to being one of the preeminent low carbon clusters globally.
We've chosen to join the Solent cluster, really given our heritage, our 70 years of operations here in the Solent, but also then the impact that this region has for the rest of the UK. So we have connectivity to the major airports in London, and also support the major maritime ports here of Southampton and Portsmouth. And And we see this as a great opportunity to bring technology and expertise to solving the energy transition more broadly in the United Kingdom.
Which I think that's at the heart of what we have through the Solent cluster, a new ecosystem that didn't exist before, that will bring new opportunity, not only for existing businesses, but for new investment, new businesses, and I think we all have to remember that, for young people and new careers of tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about the launch of the Solent cluster. I've been working in the energy industry for over 20 years, and to be part of something that is going to be so important for the region and the southern part of the UK to enable it to reach its ambitions for net zero is just incredibly rewarding.